I'm going to talk about a quarterback competition that I'm not convinced exists, but I'm going to talk about it from the perspective where I wish it would exist and why. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also happen to offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates, the same place that you found this. Hope you'll check those out as well. A lot of fun on both of those, by the way, this week. Russell Wilson spoke after practice yesterday. Russ loves to speak, by the way. That's a neat thing. Ben Roethlisberger was always professional and courteous and all that, but he didn't love it. And I'm not saying anything he wouldn't be telling you if he was on here right now himself. Russ, man, he sees cameras and microphones and he goes running to them. I am sure that I've never been around a quarterback like this before. But I'm also sure that it doesn't matter what the appearances are or what the accepted or even expected result will be of this alleged quarterback competition. Because if we're all being honest, we're all anticipating it'll be Russ. And as a result, we're all kind of looking at this behavior where, his press conferences are in the press conference room. He speaks on Wednesdays because that's the day that the starter speaks. He opens up the preseason game against the Bills because that's what the starter does. And everything feels like he's number one and Justin Fields is number two, and that's that. And yet I'll go looking for little stuff, something, anything that'll suggest a lack of comfort with the status quo, or maybe even just pushing or poking or prodding one or the other of those two to be better in some way because of a competition. And what I've got so far amounts to three things. One, and I'm keeping all of this in the moment, Mike Tomlin reiterated yesterday that he won't name a starting quarterback for Detroit until later in the week. Okay. Not sure why he's waiting, but he's waiting. That's his choice. And it's a choice that he made public. Two, he's yet to name an actual starter. And in his most recent comment on this, it was over the weekend, he said he's not going to do that until closer to the season opener in Atlanta. Okay, again, he could just do it now. He's not. Three, and I really hope this is the one that stands out, meaning I hope this is one and not three. The first team offense has yet to score under Wilson or under Fields. And you and I can think what we want about that. We can dismiss it as, well, it's the opposite of Kenny Pickett being 5 for 5 in drives last preseason. Or we can dissect differences between the two, but the truth is, and this is always the truth in football, the only people who know exactly what the players are supposed to be doing in all situations are the coaches. Not me, not you, not PFF, sometimes not even the players. It's always just the coaches. So whatever it is that the coaches are seeing between Wilson and Fields very clearly has yet to produce any sort of urgency from Tomlin to finish this conversation, to close it out, to have everybody focus on Russ. Russ is our guy, so that the players can begin rallying around him, so that when reporters like me go around the locker room and ask questions about the differences between one quarterback and the other, those players can just begin dismissing those questions by saying, listen, Russ is our guy. If you want to ask me questions about Russ, I'm not going to participate in any sort of controversy-stoking answers here for you. And not least of all of this, there's the football component where the offensive players would get more snaps, significantly more snaps, with one quarterback over the other. That would help an offensive line that looks like it could use some help. That would help really everybody, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, if they knew who their guy was. And yet here we are on, what is today? 22nd of August, and we don't have that answer. What we have instead is Russ smiling and being awesome and saying stuff like this as he did after practice yesterday.
Yeah, we're playing. Yeah, we're all playing. I'm excited to get back on the field. Last week was great to be out there for the first time. Putting the pads on and everything else, and obviously we didn't get the win and everything else. But I think the big thing for us is just executing and us making our plays and doing our thing.
And we have Fields being left in the locker room as opposed to going to the podium, also being a true pro and giving thoughtful answers and all that. Not at all accepting that he should be the backup, but at the same time handling it all with some grace. He really is, too. That's where we are. Again, third week of August. I'm not sure why, but I am sure that I like it a whole lot more than I would like any kind of anointing of anyone for any reason. Let's see somebody earn it. And from there, let's see the person who earns it get it. When we come back, J1Q. This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar. Today's J1Q comes from Corey, who says, DK, in past seasons, the Steelers would sometimes get a big signing done amid the doldrums of training camp and announce it in a way that seemed designed to lift up the spirits of players and fans alike. This was many people's expectation regarding the re-signing of Cam Hayward, and yet it didn't happen while the team was at St. Vincent. Is there reason to believe that Cam will not be extended before the season begins? Let's put it this way, Corey. To start, there's been no known movement there. That's something I'm checking on regularly, and that's something that I'm repeatedly being told hasn't gotten going yet. But I say that, and I can also throw in that nothing has materialized yet on the Pat Freiermuth front, and I don't expect that anything will materialize on the Najee Harris front, but I include him because Omar Khan has included him as a possibility in this category. What do I think about this? Well, I'm going to answer your question a couple of different ways. One is that, no, they would not be signing someone to a multi-gazillion-dollar extension to try to lift up anybody's spirits during training camp. The reason that it's conducted, these types of deals in camp, is that everybody's under the same figurative roof. Everybody's around. Agent shows up in town. You can bring everybody into one of those cubicles and say, all right, let's not leave this room until we have it figured out. Art Rooney is either right there or down the hall. He has to sign off regardless. It's just a convenient place to do it. Oh, and also, you have at least a reasonable assurance that the player is in the kind of physical condition that you'd need before putting pen to paper from the team side. The second thing I have to offer, and man, you know what? We've made it so far into the week without once mentioning Brandon Ayuk, but I've got to break that now. Sorry. I know for a fact that they're waiting to see how this unfolds. Not just Ayuk. We've reported at DK Pittsburgh Sports that the Steelers have had their eyes on several receivers, waiting and watching to see how things go with their own circumstances wherever they happen to be currently employed, and they're hoping to seize on one of those situations before the season starts. Well, you've heard the kind of money that's being thrown around regarding Ayuk. When you're talking about a cap hit that's anywhere within the solar system of $30 million a year, you're talking about a transformational cap hit. You're talking about someone who's going to force you to do restructures of other players, and you'd better believe you're shelving any sort of negotiations with anybody else who's already signed for the 2024 season. And of course, Cam is. Pat is. Najee is. So from there, what I'm expecting is that once something is settled, either with Ayuk, whether it's in Santa Clara or in Pittsburgh, or with another external wide receiver, you could see a lot of dominoes going at the same time. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow, and then it's on up to Detroit.